welcome back to Catholic Mom and Daughter. My name is Jennifer and I'm here again today with my daughter Kate. And today we're exploring the mystery of Saint Mary Magdalene. Okay, so we're going to start off today. We have two books to talk about.
I have a children's picture book.
And I have an adult book. It's called Saint Mary Magdalene, Her Life and Times.
So the first one is The Miracle of the Red Egg by Elizabeth Johnson. So this book follows the legend that Mary Magdalene went to see the Emperor Tiberius and proclaimed to him that Jesus was risen. And of course he didn't believe that, and so he's going on about Jesus is no more risen than this egg, which he picks up off the table, could turn red. And of course it does turn red.
Showed him.
So it is just a really nice picture book discussing that legend. See some of the pictures. So it's
a great book
nice
for kids. If your kids have not heard the legend of Mary Magdalene and the red egg, I shouldn't say legend, maybe more tradition, it's a great one for them to get to know. A few years ago I did a wooden saint swap, and one of the saints that I received was Saint Mary Magdalene, and she was holding the red egg. So I don't know who painted this, but if you're out there, thank you. I've always enjoyed this one. And last week I went to the Dollar Tree and I bought this little wooden house. They have these for $1. So look at this. Mary Magdalene is going in her little wooden house. She's going to be out this week as we remember her feast day. I love stuff like this. So if you have kids, maybe wooden saints or something that you haven't explored yet, those are a lot of fun. The book for adults that I have was written by Edith, Filliette, and it's approved by the Mary Magdalene Society. It's a short read, but it is so good, and it presents a lot of information that I had never heard about Mary Magdalene. So Kate and I put together a short little quiz, question and answer to challenge you. How much do you know about Mary Magdalene? So Kate will ask the questions and then I'll provide the answers.
So question number 1, is Mary Magdalene the same person as Mary of Bethany?
Yes. Mary Magdalene most likely is actually Mary of Bethany. There's no separate Mary of Bethany listed in the Gospels. So Mary Magdalene is most likely the sister of Martha and Lazarus. So the book goes into how biblical scholars have arrived at that, and it connects all the dots. And when I was reading the book, I just found myself saying, yes, I can't believe I never noticed that before. But not content with just reading it in one book and believing that it was true. I have done quite a bit of research online. A lot of biblical scholars, a lot of Catholic scholars do believe that Mary of Bethany and Mary of Magdala are the same person. And I'll link an article about that in the description box below.
Alright, question number 2 is, was she really like a fallen woman? Was she really possessed? All those things we hear about her. Are those true?
A lot of times you hear her described as a prostitute. Now, it never says in the gospel that she was a prostitute. It just says she was a repentant sinner. She was a friend of Joanna, the wife of King Herod's steward Chusa. So she probably was hanging out at the Roman palace, dressing up, going to these parties, probably living an immoral life. Was she a prostitute? Maybe, we just don't know. But she was repentant of those sins, and Jesus cast out her demons. If you have demons, it doesn't mean that you're necessarily possessed, exorcist style. Maybe your demons are pride, envy, sloth, greed. We don't know. So you can have all kinds of demons. It doesn't necessarily mean that your head is spinning and you're talking around in circles. Right. So again, the book walks you through all of the instances in the gospel that talk about those topics, and it's really, at least for me, it was really eye-opening. Gave me a lot to think about.
And question number 3, the last question, is why was she called the apostle to the apostles?
So probably a lot of you already know the answer to this. She was called the apostle to the apostles because she was the one chosen by Jesus to be the first to see him after he rose from the dead. And then she took the news to Peter and John and the other apostles. So that was really quite a great honor. And again, the book goes into detail about that. And also what happened to her. What do we know about her after Jesus ascended into heaven? Where did she go? France. Why? Persecutions in Jerusalem. Can we see where she is buried? Do we know what happened to her body? Yes, we do. You can actually go there to her crypt and see her remains. So I didn't know any of that, and this book really cleared it up for me. So you might well wonder, why do you care so much about Mary Magdalene? Well, my answer to that is I had a Mary Magdalene moment a few years ago. I had signed up to be a perpetual adorer. When my kids were little, you know how it is when you have little children and you're so busy, it's hard to commit to doing an hour of adoration every week. But now that my kids are bigger, I finally just said I'm going to do it. I signed up for an hour on Fridays, and that was my thing. Well, the first year that I was a scheduled adorer, that first Friday, that first Good Friday during Lent, we went to the veneration of the cross as a family. And Holy Friday is such a hard day. You're fasting, it's been a long Lent, you're thinking about how Jesus suffered and died for us, and it's a very solemn day. The veneration of the cross is a beautiful ceremony, but it's a long ceremony. You have plenty of time to sit in church and think about all these sad things. But that particular Friday, I was sitting there thinking, okay, you guys be sad, but after this is over, I'm going to the Adoration Chapel for my hour with Jesus. I'm going to kick back with Jesus. It's all going to be good. Not realizing, or maybe I just didn't pay attention, but we all know the Adoration Chapel is closed on Friday. We all know that, but I didn't know that. So I'm going along, going to see Jesus. It's going to be fine. I get to the doors, and they're locked. And I was stunned. I just had this moment of, what? You're kidding me. How can this be? And I tried the door, I tried my key and the door 3 times, rattling the door, let me in, and there's no Jesus. Then I noticed there's a sign on the door that says, no Jesus here during the Triduum, go home. I just literally felt stunned. And then I realized this is how Mary Magdalene must have felt when she went to the empty tomb. She thought she was going to have time with Jesus. She thought she would be with him and take care of his body and have that closure, but no, she had the surprise of her life. So when it dawned on me that no, there's no Jesus here, the chapel's really closed, I didn't know what to do. I just sort of milled around the church gardens for a while. Then I went home and my son said, you don't look right. And I said, no, it's been a long day. And he said, well, maybe you should just go to bed now. And I said, yeah, wake me up on Easter Sunday, please. Like, this has been a really hard time. I had that moment of living the gospel, that moment of grief and astonishment that Jesus wasn't there. And that has always drawn me to Mary Magdalene since then. So that's why I've gone on my little Mary Magdalene rabbit trail, wanting to know more about her. So how can you celebrate at home the feast of St. Mary Magdalene?
Go to Mass. You go to daily Mass.
Yeah.
That's a pretty typical one.
Yeah, you can go to Mass on Wednesday to celebrate the feast of Mary Magdalene. You can also start a novena on her feast day. Traditionally, a novena would end on her feast day. That's 9 days of prayer, but there's nothing to stop you from starting it on her feast day.
And she's also the patron saint of hairdressers. So you could try a different hairstyle if you want, get a haircut, or just make an effort to look really nice on her feast day.
Yeah,
is there something different?
Mary Magdalene definitely was into fashion and nice hair, nice clothes, so maybe just dress up a little bit, try to look a little extra nice on her feast day. Okay, so the last thing that we have for you today is our Mary Magdalene Challenge. As I mentioned, or Kate mentioned, there are not a lot of children's picture books about Mary Magdalene.
Yeah, she gets mentioned in a lot of books of the saints. But we don't really have anything focusing on her life in the Gospels or anything like that.
Yeah, the most you'll get is a page in a saint's book. So we would like to rectify that problem. If you're an artist, if you are a publisher, if you're a writer, if you can help us out in any way, We would like to see more picture books about Mary Magdalene in her role with Jesus and the disciples in the Gospels. So that is our challenge for you today, and we will see you next time. Have a happy feast of St. Mary Magdalene on Wednesday, and that's it.
Bye.
Bye.